What's going on, y'all? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, and I'm going over my second variation on the weathers. This archetype is amazing, insanely beautiful. I love the synergy it has with so many different engines, mechanics, and the splashability, versatility. Such a great deck. Its diverse playstyle is what makes it so awesome to me. It has beautiful artwork. I love the theme of the weathers, and then they have the weather painters have their own canvases that have effects similar to them. It's really dope. The first deck I did was the Invoked. I felt like Invoked had more synergy and I believe higher ceiling with the weather painters than the Draco variant did, just because the Draco is a bit more specific and your hands have to be fixed and modulated accordingly. Whereas with the the Invoked Weather, you just need the one card. With Dracos, you kind of need like a spell trap or a monster in order to summon your masterpiece, and then you need to be able to search them out with your diagram. So while it's powerful, it can be shut down by hand traps a lot more than the Invoke variant can. That's just my opinion though. I think both mechanics incorporated into the Weatheries are powerful, whether it's Draco Weatheries or Invoked Weatheries. Either way, they have high ceiling. So we're gonna hop right into this main deck without further ado. For monsters, we play 2 copies of Masterpiece and 1 Mariamne the True Draco Phoenix. I can't play any Draco variant without her. It just helps because when you have multiple diagrams, like a terraforming in a diagram, you can always search her off the first one and then off the second one, make your masterpiece how you want it. So she's just way too powerful to not play. She increases your ceiling exponentially, and that sums up the actual Draco monsters. Then for the painters, we play 2 copies of Snow because I only pulled 2. I would play 3 if I had 3. She's broken. She basically directly activates the weather painter, the canvases. And then I decided to play 2 copies of Thunder in this list. Thunder is actually one of my favorites. He's so daggone abusive. And the cool thing is he can actually sack off your Draco spells and traps, like your Heritage, your Disciples, your Apocalypse, or your Return, and then activate a weather painter. And then there, as a separate chain, they'll pop one of your cards. So he can help you to play through established boards. It's really, really powerful. I like him a lot. But basically, he just trades out continuous spell or traps for weather canvases, which is really nice. And they all have the same effect whenever they're banished for a weather effect. They special summon themselves during the next standby, which could be yours or your opponent's. Thunder's pretty broken. I like him a lot. And then I play 2 copies of Cloud. Cloud is basically, he's more of like a mid to late gameplay, but I love what he actually does because Cloud sets you up for Masterpiece really well. If another weather card you control is sent to the graveyard, you can target 2 weather canvases, spell and traps in your graveyard, activate them. Then you can literally just tribute summon your Masterpiece that way. So it fixes like situations where you're like, oh snap, my Return got outed or my Apocalypse got outed, and it's like, dang, I can't really summon my Masterpiece. And it's like, bam, Cloud, drop those 2 continuouses, tribute the spell in Cloud or the trap in Cloud to make your Masterpiece how you want. So he also gives you the option to make a spell or a trap Masterpiece with him as well, which is really nice. So he has great synergy in the Draco variant. And then we play 1 copy of Sun. Sun is really good at 1 in this list, especially you're playing such a low monster count on purpose. And he basically just special summons himself in the graveyard. And then you sack off, by doing so, you have to sack off a continuous spell or trap you control, which could be Draco spells and traps. And it's not actually a cost, which is pretty cool. I'm sorry, it is a cost, but either way, they basically just have to be sent from the spell or trap zone to the graveyard. So it doesn't matter if it's a cost. I take that back. But basically, he sacks off a continuous spell or trap to special summon himself from the graveyard. Then if you do, you have to activate a weather canvas from your hand. If you can't do that, you can't summon him. But he basically is just a monster reborn for himself, which helps when you tribute him for Masterpiece or when you link into your Rainbow Painter. And then we play 1 copy of Rain, arguably the worst and my least favorite of all the weather painters, but they all have their day, and all of them are good in different situations. And Rain is really strong when you're trying to make your Masterpiece because she'll literally special summon herself, activate the continuous spell or trap, and then you can just tribute for Masterpiece right after that, which is really insane. So she's really nutty. Like Rain and Cloud and Painter and Sun are actually really powerful for your Masterpiece plays. They're like good combos to make Masterpiece the right way. That sums up the monster count. It's a really, really small monster count. And then for spells, we are playing 3 copies of Double D's, Diagram for the win. Then we're also playing 3 copies of Optimus Prime to make it 6 diagrams. I wish set rotation was still at 3. Trust me, I do. I will be finding some weird field spell to play. And then we also play 3 copies of Card of Demise. This deck really needs a lot of draw power. It's such a slow start, and that's the sad thing about weather painters. They have no real effects that let you special summon them first turn. So they have like a really slow start. So they tend to be more or less a control deck, and that's kind of what they are. And eventually they make a boss monster that lets you control the game even further. So Demise was just a no-brainer for this variant because I need the draw power. I need to dig for my canvases, to dig for my snow and snow's canvas as well, and to set yourself up. This deck actually needs to set up for your first turn. It's not like a draw 1 or 2 cards and go. You know, it actually requires a specific setup. So Demise helps you to get there most definitely. In tandem with that, we also played 3 copies of Duality. I could cut it down to 2, but I actually like seeing this card. I mean, what you want to do is resolve your searches first and then activate your Snowy Canvas so that you're not under the restriction of only being able to draw cards. And that's how you do that. If you happen to Duality into Snowy, that's great. If you Demise into Snowy, that's even better. And then we're actually playing 2 copies of Pot of Desires and not 3. So these are just generic spells that help you to get there and further your game state to basically enable you to search or draw the specific cards that you need and get your canvas set up as well. The canvases are the most important continuous spells and traps of the deck, not the actual Draco stuff. And then speaking of canvases, we actually played 3 copies of the Weathery Snowy Canvas. Snowy is really awesome. Actually, we're going to put Snowy right here. Snowy is so amazing. It gives the effect of the Weather Painter. So if you don't know what the canvases do, you know I gotta put them next to their canvases, bro. So this is his canvas. You can see snow in the artwork, and he's painting snow. So the Weathery canvases work like this. The weather monsters in the main monster zone of the same column as this. So if this is in the middle column and a weather monster is in the middle column, that's how it works. So basically weather monsters in the same column as the canvases gain the effects that the canvases list, and then the monsters adjacent to them as well. So if you have 3 weathery monsters, and this, let's say for example, snow's in the middle, and then you have a sun and a rain right next to him, this one snowy canvas gives all 3 of those weathery monsters the same effect. So I'm going to read you the effect. It says you can banish this card, and if you do, add a weathery card from your deck to your hand. So what that says, it's not banishing this. You actually, it gives the monster that effect. So it'll give Snow this effect. Snow can banish herself, add a weathery card from your deck to your hand. And what's so cool is because it works with the adjacent. If you have 3 weatheries and they're adjacent, you have 1 Snow in this column and then 2 adjacent, you can banish all 3 of those weatheries and add 3 different weathery cards from your deck to your hand. It's a quick effect, which is really cool. I'm sorry, no, I take that back. You can't do that with Snowy Canvas. It's the only one you can't, because it also says for the rest of the turn, you cannot add cards from your deck to your hand except by drawing them. So you can't really abuse Snowy like that, but you can abuse every other canvas that way, where you can actually use multiple weathery monsters to use the same effect. And the cool thing is the continuous spells are all quick effects, so they allow you to play on your opponent's turn, which is retarded. This has a great Paleozoic matchup because you have so many chainable non-trap effects to disrupt their chain trap from grave. So it's a really strong control deck in my opinion. So that's Snow's canvas. It's basically the Stratos. It searches for any weather card. So you, like I said, since it says you can only draw after that, you want to resolve your searches before you play this. And then to finish up with the canvases, we play 1 sunny, we play 1 cloudy, and we play 1 rainy. I could not find space. It was so tight in the main deck to play multiples of any of the canvases, so I had to play 1 of each. Here's rain, here's sun, and here is cloud. I love that their artwork is so beautiful, and the painters are there on their canvases artwork, which is really cool. So Sunny is an extender. Sunny's canvas, which is really cool because Sunny itself is an extender. If you notice, their canvases are very, very similar to their actual effects, which is dope. So Sunny says, his canvas says this. It's the same thing. If they're in the same column in the adjacent zones, all the weather monsters in those columns get this effect. So the spells actually don't have effects. They give effects to the weather painters. So the weather painters can have a lot of different effects at once, which is cool. And this one says you can banish it. So the weather monster banishes itself. All of them banish. Keep in mind, to activate the effects, you basically banish them. And that triggers their other effect, which special summons them back on the next standby anyways. So you banish this card, target monster you control, tribute it, and if you do, special summon a weather monster from your hand or graveyard, but not with the same name as the tributed monster. And you can only control 1 of any of the canvases, which is something you have to keep in mind. And then Cloud's canvas basically lets you, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it basically says, you know, the same thing with banishing them. It says target offensive monster on the field, have its attack up for the rest of the turn. But it cannot attack directly this turn. Oh, but it can attack directly this turn. So it's not all that, but it does help you because these monsters are really weak. And if your opponent's trying to attack over them, this helps you to dodge that. And then Rainy's Canvas basically lets you bounce spells or traps. Pretty simple. That's what it does. So that's their canvases. And then moving forward to the Draco spells and traps, we actually only play 1 Heritage and 1 Disciples. I am so faithful with this ratio when I play Dracos because I don't play any of the baby Dracos, so I hate drawing these. These are Garnets. They do nothing by themselves. Even if you have these and like a bunch of canvases, that's just a dead draw. You need a diagram or a masterpiece for these to have any synergy. And in addition to that, for this to even be live, aside from that by itself, you have to have targets engraved. So these do nothing by themselves. Yeah, they have 3 effects that are all situational, and you have to resolve them with other cards. So that will sum up the spell portion of the deck. I hope I explained everything thoroughly, and if you have any more questions that I didn't answer, just let me know in the comment section below, and you know I got you. And then for traps, we play 2 of Aurora's canvas. I have to grab Aurora. It's just so dope, man. I have to. Where's Aurora at? Where that girl at? There she is. All right, so here's Aurora. So her canvas is amazing. It's like, basically, it rapes your hand. And it can be used on the flip side as well. So I'm going to read it. It basically gives them this effect. When exactly 1 card is added to 1 player's hand, except during the damage step, banish this card. So whatever painter is in this column, banish it, and then the adjacents can do the same thing. And you can banish the card the added card. So if either player adds 1 card to their hand, you can activate this effect. It's a quick effect. Banish that card from their hand, and if you do, that player draws 1 card. So if your opponent adds a masterpiece, if your opponent adds a B or C off of Hanger, if your opponent adds a Condina Trickstar off of Light Stage, you can banish that card and then make them draw a random card, but you banish an important card that they want. So this can be very annoying, and it allows you to play a bit more control and to interrupt your opponent's play to make sure that you don't die. In addition to that, it even works off of duality. If your opponent like dualities and they're crazy enough to add evenly match, you're just going to banish that. Just simple examples of synergy, but it's the most broken part. The most broken part about this card is that you can use it on yourself. So we're going to go into for example mode for a second. For example, if you resolve the weathery Snow, where's Snow's canvas? Here's Snow's canvas. So if you resolve Snow's canvas, right, banish a painter. Where's a painter at? Let's just grab a random painter. So let's say you banish a painter to resolve Snow, and then you already have one in this column, right? So let's say, for example, you have this going on. You've got like Cloud there, and you have like Rain there. So you're going to banish this to search for any weathery card. Let's say you add Sun. This will then trigger because exactly 1 was added to your hand. Then you're going to banish Cloud, banish this, draw a card. Now you have 3 weathers that are going to come back on the next standby, and you can keep banishing them with your canvases to protect them from your opponent's card effects. You can even dodge effects that would target, so they'll miss their target and miss timing. And then these will come back on your standby again, and then you have an instant setup to link summon for your Weather Rainbow Painter. And it's insane because you do get to draw a card in addition to that. So this is really nutty. This is what sets you up a lot faster for your Painter Rainbow. In addition to that, it lets you cycle through your deck faster. So its best use is actually on yourself. Like I said, whenever you add a weather from your Snowy and you have this setup, just banish that weather painter. Banish 1 that's in this column, draw your card, and then you have 3 set up perfectly because you have 1 in each of these columns, and then the one that you added, those 3 get banished, bam, instant weather painter, rainbow painter. So I just wanted to share that because I thought that this was an insanely powerful canvas. It's so strong, and it just rapes your opponent's plays as well. Then we play 2 copies of Thundery Canvas. Basically, it just says this: if a weather painter monster battles a monster, you can banish it and then bounce the monster is battling. Then we play 1 Draco Apocalypse and 1 Return. In addition to that, we play 3 Solemn Strikes and 2 Storming. As far as the Draco spells and traps go, you can play different numbers, variations. You can play Ignis Heat, you can play Majesty Maiden, do however you want to do it. But this is just how I'm choosing to play my Weather Painter deck. I recommend you just try things out for yourself and see how it works for you. You might try different ratios. So I guess, yeah, you can net deck it, but definitely try some stuff out on your own because you might find that different ratios work out better for you. For example, this is just something that's been successful for me thus far. But yeah, that definitely sums up the main deck. And yeah, you do play a lot of continuous spells and traps. So like, what's cool is you can tech in 3 masterpieces you'll always be able to summon him, like no matter what. Even if you don't search anything off diagram, you have so many canvases, so many ways to search them. You could just tribute, like for example, Painter and then one of their canvases. If you tribute a Painter and one of their canvases, you get Masterpiece immune to whatever. Or if you're desperate, you can just tribute 2 canvases to drop Masterpiece. Really, really cool. And then for the extra deck, you just play 3 Painter Rainbow. You never go into your extra deck with this deck except for this card. There's no other Link monster worth it, so I wouldn't even play any other Link monsters. In addition to that, Link summoning is very difficult for such a slow-paced deck. And this is something you want to drop mid to late game as basically your trump card. In addition to that, there's no other extra deck options that matter. Rank 3s would not come up because you need your Weather Painters to stay on the field. So it makes sense that you only play this. If there's other cards you feel that could be played in the extra deck, let me know. But I just wanted to let you guys know that it just doesn't come up. This deck is so slow and you play such a low monster count, and you need your canvases to be live, so you have to control Painters, which is very unfortunate but true. So you just play her. And thank you guys for watching the deck profile. I hope you found this to be informational and or inspiring. If you enjoyed this, let me know. If you feel like it needs some work, let me know. I'm down for the constructive criticism, however you want to do it. God bless you guys. And we're going to go over one more update because there is a very, very bad angle and quality to the Magical Musketeer deck I did. I want to update that and give it a better angle and better quality for the concept, and also in addition to that for my viewers, because I know you guys aren't happy about that. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and sign out and move to the next video.